Welcome in, legends. I hope this one is going to be a fun one for you. I actually haven't been able to sit down and go through my own spreadsheets, my own Word documents as well, heading into round 14 and the carnage that may be coming up here as well. So I'm going to go through that now myself, which is what I've been doing anyway. So just thought I'd record it, and hopefully it helps you guys out there as well, so we can settle into this one and see where I end up with this squad. And just looking at round 14 itself, I have a host of players out, obviously, and I've still got to add Nico Hines onto that list as well as outs for me this week. So I've actually got 6 in the green, which is 6 outs so far, which puts me in 15, unfortunately, there. And then we've got a little bit of a question mark over Cotter after his massive minutes, and I hope he does play. And then Armstrong as well. Apparently Fletcher Sharp has trained at fullback all week as well. So if he's actually out, then I'm in a bit of strife in that way as well. And I'm just going to go through the certain things that I can do in my side heading into this week, and then obviously looking towards round 16 as well with the types of things I can do right now, and then if I do make certain trades this week. So if we're looking at my current setup in the hooking position, I'm well set this week, so not a problem. Let's just focus on getting the 13 on the park and then see what we can do from there. So Grant and Brayley should be good to go. Lussick is not in the side at the moment, so finally I can remove him out of there, and I can remove that third hooker that I have in the side, currently wanting to have 2. So Lussick's going to go, and I think that at this stage is very likely to go to a mid. Right now, I've definitely got Hughes and King that are going to be playing so far, which is good, although there's a little rumour spreading around apparently on Discords that King may be out this week, so even better on that front as well. And later on the video, guys, I've got the private group watching along live, and if there's some specific questions that help for them and their setup, guys, for those that are watching right now, the 10 of you that are, 11 now, just ask specific questions for your spreadsheets, your plans, and we'll help you out with that one there for sure. But let's kick it off with my team first. Obviously, that's what we're here for. So yeah, the mids, that's a position there that I do need to look at. Round 14, obviously, it could be one short there if I don't make a trade so far. If I think I'm likely with everything that's happening to keep Hughes this week. So Hughes, King. If Cotter doesn't play, then I'll need one more. But I do think I'll be getting at least one of those Tigers mids anyway, just to get myself sorted for this week. And I just think that, at least one of them are going to be a buy. And I'm looking to have at least 5 mids in my side. So if I just go Lussick, remove that third hooker, trade him to a mid there, even if I'm keeping Cotter, that gives me 5, which is, as we can see there in round 19, it's a little bit of a tough one with those Dogs players out. But if I was to add a Samuel Lafainu, a Seyfarth, and Utukamanu, these types of players there, Twal, any of those guys, that gives me 1 extra number for round 19. So it would be Plath, and it would be that Tigers player, which would be good. And then I think most likely next week, just with how this week's going to play out, Hughes will be gone, and I'll probably be getting another mid. And, there's guys like Joe Tarpany, who I'm looking at. I think that would probably round out my 5 for the mids that I'd be looking at. That would end up being Plath, Tarpany, say Samuel Afinu, just because he's a little bit cheaper. Let's say we hold Cotter, so it's Cotter, and then it's going to be King and Tarpany. I think that's a really solid 5 heading into the next bunch of weeks. We've got AFB as a really, really solid option this week, potentially Tohu Harris as well. So they're the kind of guys I'm looking at in my mids at this stage. So that would obviously help out if I ended up with a couple of them. The only thing there is if I went for AFB or Tarpany, that still leaves me with 2 mids only for round 19, and is a little bit of a problem obviously there as well. So could be another potential option or something like that we can target there as well. All right, what have we got here? Will's asked, do we hold Hines now that with that performance? Also, do you think Cotter plays? That's all the things we're trying to work out. I'm more just coming up with contingencies for if those guys don't play as well. And then Jake's asked, is any of Johnson, JMK, Plath, Weeks, or Manu a sell, or just play 16? And this is a great question for everyone. I think in this scenario this week, playing with 16 is better than selling all of those guys because they're really, really important. It'd only be if you had like the Strangers, if you thought Teddy was going to miss keep going with Origin, that there can be all different thoughts for you there. And while you're listening along, guys, just get your teams up, or have a look on your phone, or whatever, however you watch this. If you've got two devices, amazing. If you don't, then that's cool too. But just have a think about your side and how this is going to fit. But that's the mids there for now. With our edge position, so it's Blore, it's Crichton, it's KPP, and it's Piakura right now. So I have 4 when I was looking at it potentially only just going through with 3. And my big issue here, for round 14, it's not a problem. I have Blore, I have KPP, and Piakura. So I actually have 3 in there for round 14, which is very, very cool. Round 16 is the other issue. We've got Blore. That's the only one going to be playing. But the good thing here is we have plenty of edge options. So I think the next option for me this week is one middle, and to get 1 edge. And obviously for feeders high on that list, Crichton could be, we don't really want to get up to 5 and 6. Obviously, if I do get Finu, he's going to be an edge duel as well. So I just don't think the edges across this next 5 weeks or 6 weeks are going to be super duper important for us. So that's where Crichton over Hines, potentially, if you're only selling one of them, I do think Crichton, if you're in my scenario, in my situation, I do think Crichton's the more important one to remove. And that's where, if you're tossing it up between Cotter being out, Crichton being out, and Hines being out, in my scenario, it's very clear that Crichton is the best guy to move on, because I don't need him next week. I'd like his score, but I don't need him next week, whereas I'm likely to need Cotter next week, given Hughes and King are going to be out. If I was to hold Cotter, even if he doesn't play this week, it'd be Plath, Cotter, and then a Finu or whoever I bring in from that Tigers team to give me my 3 mids for round 15. And that's a good idea for my squad, in my opinion. Edge, he's less of a priority to keep, because he misses another one in like round 23 as well, to go along with 14, 16, 19 at minimum, with potential for backing up with not playing or less minutes. So Crichton, I think, is going to go, and I think Dave Fafita is the guy on the list. If it works out that price-wise I need to go down a little bit, then Eli Katoa would be the other guy. But coming into sort of round 19 at that stage, I would have Piakura, and actually would only have one, and KPP. So KPP and Piakura, but by that stage, will I still want to have Piakura in my side? So maybe that 2 that I do have for that edge position won't matter, because I'll move on Piakura in round 19 anyway for another position that I need. So I'm thinking it's Dave Fafita this week. He's the best captaincy option. That's what I'd be looking at in my side there. Halves is the next tough one. So Hines is out. We've got Galvin playing this week, and I've got Weeks who's out as well. I do have Atkinson that can come up and fill that slot up in the half position, but he may also be important in the wing fullback. So this week specifically is an important one for my side. And the one thing I didn't look at, what did I do? I've got Aro and Aiken. Yes, I've got Aiken down in the centres as well for that situation. So halves, centre, and wing fullback, they're all kind of merged a little bit, given we've got Karaz with the dual. Aiken's got the dual edge and the centre, but I don't think I'm going to need Aiken in the edge anymore. It was just that round 13 edge for me. So looking back at those halves again, Atkinson for me this week will either play wing fullback, or he's going to play in the halves there. So right now he's my captain. How good's that in the halves? But right now, before trades, I just reversed everything that I was mucking around with. I have Fuller who's out, and if I have Armstrong out as well, that's 2 wing fullbacks. So in this scenario, Atkinson, if Armstrong was to go out, Atkinson would definitely go down into the wing fullback position, and then I would need to field a full 17 if we're going to get that far, a half and a wing fullback. And there's obviously a few guys in my potential list, in Garrick, in Latrell, and then in the halves position, it's going to be Jerome Hughes in that one there. So that would be helpful. And obviously trading out Hines, if we were to do that, is the other question too. So just to give you a little visual representation on how that looked, is there in my team. So yeah, looking at that halves then, if let's just say Hines stays in the side, if I was to get another half, it doesn't affect it too poorly, because Weeks is considering round 16 in the wing fullbacks for me is pretty tough. Weeks would just come down and play round 16 for me, and that would add to my list. And the big thing here is if I keep Fuller as well. So Fuller's the guy I end up holding. Next week he's not going to play. Like Hammer's good to go. He was incredible last night. So if I was to trade Fuller out as well, I'd be down to 0 for round 16. Yes, if I bring Weeks down to wing fullback, it would be up to 1 or 2. if I brought Garrick in, that would be helpful as well, for sure. And thankfully, I've got the Karaz and Aitken situation in centres, because that's when, if you guys remember back to when I actually bought Aitken, that was the massive reason I grabbed him, because he was my edge number for 13. He was my centre number for 16. And obviously, I had to cop this round 14 miss here, but I thought he was super important for those couple of rounds and a position that I didn't have to trade in. So very, very happy about that. But this scenario here with Hines being out in round 16, right? Weeks would be my second half. Galvin and Weeks would be my two halves in round 16. But if I was to bring Weeks down to wing fullback then and use him there, that would just really, really help out. And maybe Jerome Hughes is a play for me this week. So some general thoughts right now. Lussick to Fainu. Hines to... It'd probably have to be Hines. Hines to Hughes. And then Crichton to Fafita is a potential option for me this week. If I did go Hines, then I could end up with that fourth trade and bring in Garrick. That would probably be the other option there. And if I've got a host of those guys out, like I said, if we look back to those numbers there, Plath, Hines, Aitken, Fuller, Weeks, Crichton, definitely. So that brings me down to 15, right? So I'd only need to use 2 trades to get to 17. But if Armstrong and Cotter would be out, I'd be down to 13 as well. So if we're looking at that side right now, in that case, I probably wouldn't be able to do the... Atkinson's up there right now. Weeks is out. Yeah, so I would have to bring in the half and also the wing fullback, wouldn't I? So let's just go back and look at my side there. So if I went the mid, let's just say Cotter's out. If I did the 4 trades, it works out perfectly. So Cotter would be out. I likely hold him for next week. I bring in Fainu, and that covers that. I would then have to trade out Fuller, most likely. Armstrong would have to be traded out. That's right. So I'd have to see how that works out. So if Armstrong's out this week, I think I'd have to sell him. I'll probably keep Fuller at that stage because I'm unsure if Armstrong would be able to keep his spot on the side. So Armstrong would go to Garrick. I'd bring Atkinson down to wing fullback, and that would cover that 3 at the bottom. Hughes would come into half. Sweet. And then I've got another edge will come in. So Fafita, just for the captaincy option. That would be cool. Sorry, the only thing I didn't mention to you guys that's in my head right now is center in... Which rounds are going to be? Center in round 16 is something to think about as well, to be honest with you there. Because I could muck around, like if Garrett comes in over Latrell, I could muck around with Karaz down to wing fullback if I needed to do that as well. Obviously, Garrick can be that plug anyway, but it's just something to think about as well. But if I hold Fuller, Weeks comes down, and then I bring in Garrick or Latrell, I wouldn't actually have to do that, would I? No, centre would be sweet. It'd have the 2 players for 16. And I would have the 3 players for that one down there. So I suppose it's not the end of the world if I do lose. If it happens to be all 4 trades I need to use, it'll be Lussick out, Armstrong out, Hines and Crichton out. And I do think that would be enough to be able to get down to be able to use those 4 trades I just mentioned. I think they're really solid trades and they would set me up for the next sort of 4 weeks. I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, so that's just my general thoughts. If I have to use 4 trades, then that's cool. If I don't, then I can make... Yeah, okay. So if Armstrong plays, I can make the decision between Garrick and Hughes this week. But I do think that they're both going to be priorities coming up, right? Because Armstrong's going to be out round 16. I think he'll be a sell likely by then anyway, if they're talking about potentially moving between him and Fletcher Sharp. Atkinson could potentially be a sell in 16 as well, but it would mean if I made 3 trades, I could choose between Hughes and Garrick. I could obviously choose between Fafita as well, but I think he's such a good captaincy option. It's him and Eli Katoa are the good ones to look at there. All right, let's have a quick look. JPR, Strange to Hands, Hughes to Twile, and Hines to Yo. Yeah, that could work. A little bit of a worry on Yo for sure, but yeah, all works out. Trip was good, thanks, Jake. What's he saying? Hines a sell, man a hold. Yeah, up to you on that one. You mentioned that. Welcome in, guys. So we're keen on sacking Hines. I think it, yeah, as I was just saying, Brandon, I think it has to suit your team. It could be something that works out really well. It could, yeah, it could. If you're low on trades as well, it might be a bit of a worry, to be honest. But if you've got enough trades, I do think you'll be able to get him back in, because that's something you have to think about with these big dogs. That you're gonna have to get him back in at some point. But if we do lose Crichton, I think that edge position for my team, it's an easier one to cover, and I think it is for a lot of people too. Like, obviously, Blory plays all the way through to round 19 now. Kaipi's Paul just misses 16. So they're really cool guys to own. I don't need a heap more edges. And obviously, Crichton not playing many games. If I've got Fafita there, if you bring in Nelly Katoa, I've got Priakura already. I've got Samuel Afanu who can switch between, like, if that's the way I go, edge and mid. I'll have a look. If those 4 trades were exactly to work out, then that's what I'd be thinking of doing. So, in that scenario, I think that means I'm holding. Does it mean I'm holding Cotter either way? Yeah, it does mean I'm holding Cotter either way, so we don't have to worry about him. We do have to worry about the Armstrong situation. So let's see how that one would work out with the draw, because they play third last game. Okay. Well, they play against a Storm, so that's actually pretty ideal. And then Garrick plays afterwards. Yeah, that's pretty helpful actually, because then I could wait for that final trade. It's just, let's just say I make the 4 trades. Yeah, if I make the 4 trades, I could do Hughes and Garrick from Armstrong, and who would I be able to use it for? Crichton. I think I'd have to wait for Crichton then, because he's on the bye. Yeah, he's on the bye. So in this scenario, I do think Hines would have to go first, along with Lussick. So those two, I'll be able to go Hines to Fafita early. Lussick, we'll be able to go to Fainu, or whichever Tiger, that, like, I'll work out the numbers, obviously, there as well. That could be cool. And then later on, I could go and work out what happens with Cotter with Armstrong, and go Crichton and Armstrong if they're both out for Hughes and Garrick. I think that's cool. And if Armstrong plays, I just pick Crichton for whichever one to decide, Hughes or Garrick in that scenario. Or Latrell Mitchell, which I can't wait that long with Latrell, can I? Yeah, so maybe that's just an example where I just can't pick Latrell this week. I'd like to, but the dual position of Garrick's really important. Yeah, if Karaz was to go down, that makes it a little bit tough. Actually, next week was centre. I've got to think about next week, don't I? Oh, no, I got Aiken. That's cool. Because edge next week, I'm sweet, aren't I? Yeah, I got a million edges. So Aiken would come into centre with Iro next week, with Karaz being out. Cool. So that's not a problem. That's something I should note down there. I'd skipped around 15 for all of these numbers here. So I would actually be fine. So actually, I could select Latrell, but it does muck around with the flexibility that I do have, because I don't want to have to make that extra trade if I don't have to. Like, if Armstrong's playing, I don't want to have to make the extra trade. So that's probably where in my team it works out best that I can wait and make those decisions there. Because over the next 3 weeks, that's the big one to think of. Like I mentioned here, round 16, I'll need a hooker, and I think I'll wait until round 16 to make that decision, whether it's Reed Marnie, whether it's Cook, whether it's whoever else. Can't be Jacob Little. Those types of guys. I will need 1 edge, I think. That's how we worked out. 1 edge. Yeah. Cool. So that's going to be Fafita or Katoa. Yeah. 2 wing fullback center for round 16. Yeah. So yeah, Garrick. Manu's the other one to look at as well. That's true. I forgot about Manu. I could wait till next week. So let's just say, yeah, wow, interesting. So let's just say I went the 3 trades this week and left Garrick out and got Jerome Hughes instead as the half. Let's just say I'm getting rid of Hines. That's probably a good idea to do so. The only thing there, if we want to hold on to Hines, he's going to be the best captaincy option next week, although Fafita will be available too. So that's something to think about in our teams as well. But if I didn't go Garrick this week coming, I could go for Manu next week or Garrick, depending on cash, which will be helpful there as well. Yeah, so that's my general thoughts on the team so far. And it's probably ideal just to have a little play around as well while we're here. So let's just muck around with that. Let's just go Lussick at this stage. Just say he trades and he goes to Fainu. All right, Samuela. Cool. All right, let's go Hindesy then. can go to Forfoida. Mr. David Forfoida. All right, what do we got here? Fifi. So he would then be my captain. All right, let's confirm those trades. Have a little bit of a play around. You're kind of getting the trades video in here as well. Alrighty, so what does that leave me with? 325k. So let's just do a quick general maths here now. If I was to remove Crichton and go to Jerome Hughes, how would that set us up here? So Hughesy on the left. He's at 746. So Crichton down to him. It banks another 110. That's pretty easy. 435k. Sweet. And then I could go Armstrong up to Latrell or Garrick very, very easily. Okay. So I can definitely do it. That's probably the big question. If I only went 3 trades, yeah, easy. Wouldn't even be a problem. I'd have so much cash in the bank for next week. And then next week I could go Hughes to... Okay, let's just leave it. Let's say 3 trades. Next week I could go Hughesy, 400, well, it'd be 380k, 370k, let's just say. He could go up to Manu. What did I say? I have 435k. No, Manu won't be enough. It'd have to be Garrick then, wouldn't it? So Garrick, 671. So that would work. So that's cool. Manu would be 720. Okay, maybe get to Manu. What would that be? What did I say? 430 odd. Yeah. Okay, I could get to Manu as well. So yeah, if I went the 3 trades and then traded Hughesy next week, held on to Cotter, so he'd come in and play. Hughesy goes to one of those fullback or wing center cover dudes. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that for sure. I've had a little bit of a play around in Supercoach as well. It seems a little bit easier for my side. I don't have Armstrong. I am waiting on Val Holmes, and I've got 18 after the trades I've used. Let's bring in for Feeder, which is cool. And it means trading Hines out for Hughes there. I've only got the 2 trades that I can use there as well. Means not playing Hughes for now. Sam Hughes, that is. And yeah, Val Holmes doesn't play, then I'll just take Hughes' score. So it's pretty simple in Supercoach. And obviously the best 13 in 13, 16, and 19 makes it so much easier there for sure. But fantasy, it's great. It's so much more work, which is why I wanted to show you how this kind of plays out for sure. Jimmy asks, his props have been asked, but Trell scary for now for Origin. It's probably still like 50-50. Doesn't been much talk about him for sure, but people are saying Bradman Best or a couple other players, or some are saying like Latrell's definitely going to be there. So lots of question marks around that for sure. Brandon asks, next week Trindle will take a lot of base off Hines too, make me want to trade more and watch his price drop. That's probably the other big thing from my side as well, is that if Trindle actually keeps his spot in the side when Hines returns and Atkinson leaves it. I'm not sure if that's the case, though. I do, it was working early in the year, but then it really worked with Atkinson in the side, and he's helping them do good things as well. So, yeah, it's a very interesting kind of thought at the moment in that. But yeah, that's probably all I'd wanted to talk about in my team. Hey, let me know in the comments if you've got any questions on maybe something else you'd like me to show in another video. I do very much hope this helped you guys with your setup, because I'm very happy with obviously the guys returning next week for me. If I do make those trades, Plath, Aitken, Weeks next week, Fuller in round 16. But I do have to note that, yeah, that Hughesy one, I'll need to sell him next week, which it looks like in this plan I could. If I use 3 trades, I'm down to 10. If I use 4 trades, I'm down to 9. So that's ideal. And then if I use 1 the next week, which is all I need to do, I think, trading Hughes out if I'm holding on to Fuller. He's obviously a guy I could sell instead of Crichton if I wanted to get a good score next week. But I do think that if I can hold Fuller through next week, get him for round 16, then maybe make my decision from there. And again, we might finally, might actually see an injury to Hammer in Origin 2 or next week, or there's all these things that could pop up that help Fuller, and then he gets a strong spot in this side longer term. So there's that to think about. Jake's asked, is Hopgood fine to sell? I think that he's going to play this week, so I wouldn't sell Hopgood. Tyler asked, what am I looking at with your head-to-head team? It's not something that I've completely gone through yet. I'm in less of a pickle for the head-to-head side. I do think it's probably going to be a 2-trader. If Armstrong's out as well, it'll probably be a 3-trader. I will pop through and have a look at that, Tyler. when I get to those trades tomorrow. I haven't, as I said, I've only just got home from the holidays, so I'm just going through this for you guys on the fly. And yeah, I hope this type of advice helps you guys out. Obviously, if I wanted a little bit extra cash in the bank, I could go down instead of Fainu. I obviously don't need the jewel too much. I could go down to Seyfarth. If I want to go up a little bit to Tawali, then I could do that as well. But I do think Fainu there at 479, rather than going up to Safano or up to the Tawali, that extra 100, extra 200k or whatever it is, a bit less, is going to be really helpful in just making sure that I can get up and away from Husey, which then means at this point I'll only have sort of Atkinson in the mid 400s, Armstrong just under 500, but we know that he can go big. Brendan Pikura is the only kind of other cheap guy on the side who isn't really in a terrible situation at all. And for those guys watching the private group, guys, make sure you DM me and I'll answer any specific questions as well. And I'll this video will be coming out sort of a little bit later this evening. I'll try and get it out in the next 3 hours or something, I reckon. May as well give everyone a bit of time before I get into the chatter tomorrow around my actual trades and what I decide to do once we get a little bit more late mail as well, because we might actually find a little bit more this evening around the Dragons guys, and then tomorrow we'll find out more about Cotters and these types of guys. So yeah, if Cotter's out this week, what I say that's down to right now with Fuller and Cotter out. So if Cotter plays, then I just need to make one more trade, which will get 17. If he doesn't play, I'll be making the... Geez, I could be really short, couldn't I? Yeah, I could be double short. If Armstrong and Cotter's out, I'll probably have to play with 16, won't I? See all the trades I just used? Lussick and Hines, yeah. Yeah, I'd end up having to use all 4 trades and still be... Yeah, and still be short one player. So, yeah, I'd definitely be doing the 4 if they're all out. But if only... Geez, if I don't... Oh, I might still have to make the 4 anyway. Gee, that's interesting. Oh, can't work it all out, can we? It's too hard to work it all out. I think either way, it's going to be 16... Most likely 16 players this week, which I think will be a pretty strong 16 if they're the trades I actually go and make. But we'll have to work that out for sure. Let me know where you're at coming into round 14. I think it's the toughest of the year outside of what round 19 will be, with most people lacking a lot of trades. So likely 16 for me this week. Let me know in the comments how many trades you're going to have by the end of this week, and how many players you're going to have on the field this week if everything goes right, and maybe if things don't go right, and then how many trades you have right now after you've made some trades. So I think we'll leave it at that, guys. Just a little insight into how my brain thinks. So I was just going to, all the things that are going inside my head, I've just wanted to mention out loud to you guys, and I hope that really helps you with your thoughts and your spreadsheets, your trades, and everything in between. So thanks so much for being here, guys, and we'll get out those trades videos tomorrow. And I haven't spoken too much about Supercoach yet in terms of trade-ins, so I'll discuss that along with the Supercoach trades in that video. So I'll start with the buy, hold, sell a little bit into just a quick one on my trades, which you kind of already saw those trades there for my team. We'll look at the head-to-head side for both fantasy and also Supercoach as well. Thanks again for being here, guys. We'll catch you in that next video.